Welcome back to the Sports News Analysis YouTube channel, your home for NFL talk here on YouTube. My name is Mike. I'm continuing my 2014 NFL Draft positional breakdowns, going from 10 to 1 at every position, letting you know who I think are the top 10 players at each position. This video is for the running backs in this year's class. From 8 to 1 in these rankings, I really see these guys in a large respect as possibly being interchangeable after we look forward 2-3 years into their NFL careers. A lot depends on the scheme fit that these guys find here on draft day. And we start at number 10 with more of a specialty player in DeAnthony Thomas, the running back from Oregon. Obviously, you can't deny this guy's straight line speed, probably the fastest guy, in this list here overall. But where do you play him? And you find, a lot of these guys that are athlete types, like a Tavon Austin or a Percy Harvin, to me they have more defined positions than a guy like a DeAnthony Thomas. What position do you play him at? Where can you get him the ball in space for him to do his thing? That's the challenge for an offense looking to draft a guy like a DeAnthony Thomas. You'll have to have an offensive mind, an offensive coordinator that thinks outside the box and can find ways to get him involved. If you can, he can be an asset on offense as well as in the return game. DeAnthony Thomas at number 10. At number 9, I have Devonta Freeman from Florida State. He's the guy that every time you watch Florida State, he jumped out at you. Whether it was on kickoff returns or most notably at the running back spot where he did rush for over 1,000 yards in a pretty crowded backfield in Tallahassee for the national champions this season. I'm probably a little higher on him than most people. Some people don't even have him in their top 10. But I think he's a guy, if he can improve on the little things, pass protection, things of the like, that in the future, if he gets the right fit, can be a guy who can definitely vault himself to being a mainstay in a two-back system in the NFL. At number 8, I have Marion Grice from Arizona State. Marion Grice, a guy who was a JUCO transfer to Arizona State, a guy who was well known for running in between the tackles. I think what he showed this year that surprised some people was his ability to bounce it outside and show some burst once he got there. He's also a dual threat kind of guy, very adept at catching the ball out of the backfield. A name a little bit under the radar, but Marion Grice at number 8. At number 7, I have Lache Seastrunk from Baylor. It's Lake. I know it's Lache, but it's pronounced Lake. Lache Seastrunk from Baylor. This is a guy that, for a 3-down back, okay, in this draft, he probably has the most speed of anyone in space. This guy is absolutely scintillating, as we saw from his days at Baylor in that high-powered offense. The only question for Seastrunk is, we didn't see enough of him running in between the tackles at Baylor, consistently running from that spread offense and hitting the perimeter and doing it rather well. But he's a guy that if he can show the ability to run in between the tackles with that dynamite speed, you might be looking at another Chris Johnson type in the NFL. But again, we'll see how quickly that question does get answered. At number 6, I have Bishop Sankey from Washington. Sankey's an interesting guy because when you turn on the tape, he's not going to wow you with his speed. He's not going to wow you with his strength, but he's consistently productive and does all the little things right you want in a running back. And, with his vision, he's a one-cut runner. There's a spot for those guys in the NFL, guys who maybe don't rip off 20, 30-yard runs, but are consistently gashing you for between 4 and, 10 yards. And that's the kind of guy Sankey can be. But again, he's got to find the right team with the right blocking scheme to be a fit. Bishop Sankey at number 6. At number 5, I have Charles Sims from West Virginia. Sims is a guy that in today's NFL is going to be a great weapon because he might be just as good of a receiver as he is a running back. And today, to be able to have that flexibility, to be able to line a wide receiver out wide, sort of like the Patriots do with a Shane Vereen from time to time, and have that guy be a legitimate threat, I think is a great asset to have, and one that NFL teams will definitely explore on draft day with Charles Sims. At number 4, I have Jeremy Hill from LSU. And I fall in the camp where if you didn't have to worry about this guy's off-the-field stuff, I would have Jeremy Hill in the top 2 on this list. But you can't ignore that stuff, the stuff, getting into a fight outside a bar and punching someone's lights out. You just can't, turn the page on that. The violent stuff, that's one thing that sticks with me. But his play on the field, you can't deny. This guy is truly a versatile back in the fact that he can bust it up inside. He's a big back who can get outside when he needs to, very physical, did it against the top defenses in the country in the SEC. and a guy that if you get him in the right program and a team that has good leadership in place, I think he could be a very good back in the NFL and be one of these guys, one of the few guys on this list that can be the feature back in an NFL offense. Tre Mason at number 3. Now, Tre Mason to me is an interesting guy because you'll have to decide if you're a GM, coach, scout, whoever, was this guy a product of the system at Auburn, or is this guy a legitimate running back that can put up similar numbers to what he did at Auburn? The per carry numbers for Tre Mason at Auburn were off the charts. He has relatively low tread on the tires. He's to me, better than people think catching the ball out of the backfield. But again, that's a question you have to answer. Was he good because of the system, or is he a stud running back? Me having him at number 3 here, I obviously think more of the latter. Tre Mason at number 3. Number 2, I have Carlos Hyde. And if you talk about players as a whole that help themselves the most during their regular college football regular season, Carlos Hyde to me helped himself the most. I mean, you had a guy who came out in 2013 and absolutely lit up the Big Ten and really got on a lot of people's radar. The knock on Hyde coming into this year was the fact that he did not have breakaway speed, only a between the tackles, sort of 3 yards and a cloud of dust kind of runner. He showed this year the ability to get outside, the burst to get outside, without obviously losing the strength that we all knew he had. Just very impressive this year with Carlos Hyde at number 2. And at number 1, I have Carey from Arizona. And I know there's some character concerns attached to Carey, but I look at a guy that was consistent at Arizona, tremendously productive while at Arizona. Again, it's not the fastest guy, which I know scouts are going to knock. It did not have the overall explosive plays that some of these other guys had, but the consistent production, the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, the ability to block when needed to in pass protection, to me comes together and makes him the most well-rounded, productive, and consistent back that I could find in this class. And again, a lot of people have Hyde and Tre Mason above Carey, but I don't. For a guy that supposedly lacks quintessential size and quintessential speed, you very rarely saw him get caught from behind, and you very rarely saw any defense be able to stop him in college. And I think if anyone's a true 3-down back in the NFL right from day one, it is Carey from this draft. Guys, let me know what you think of this list from 10 to 1. Hit me up in the comments. Hit me up on Twitter as well. Be sure to check out all my other draft-related videos, also including my mock draft and scouting reports of each individual player, and also my NFL regular offseason coverage with free agent rankings and things of the like. So be sure to subscribe. It's completely free. Thanks again for listening, and have a great night.